Good evening. I want to welcome you to the show. And tonight I have, I always have nice guests, but tonight I have a wonderful guest, and we'll have another guest for the next segments. But tonight I have Tina Dixon. And Tina's going to give you a lot of information about we're going to talk about dogs primarily.
Yep, that we will.
But this is a young lady that I've met some time ago, and I've just been amazed at some of the things that she's done for our community and our veterans. By the way, you are a veteran, is that correct?
Yes, 3 years Army.
3 years in the Army. For those Army vets out there, hey, Army vet.
Hooah.
Okay, I spent some time with the Army, and I kept saying, I'm so glad I'm in the Air Force.
Fair enough, fair enough.
We got a chance to live in hotels while the Army was living in tents. So that's the way that goes.
That's the way it goes, because we're Army, just saying.
Okay, so what are we going to really be talking about tonight, Tina?
Well, first I'd like to start off with a little information about me, so you understand that I actually have some experience on this topic. So I've got a couple.
Now, when you say experience, you're talking about experience as a trainer, or experience as what?
Well, experience as a trainer, experience as a dog owner, experience as a person with a disability that has had a service dog.
Okay. Now, when you say service dog, I do have to go back because most people think about PTSD when they think about veterans. And
yes.
So, and I know you have something that says PTSD. Did you want to get into that now or later?
So I'll get into that in a little bit.
Okay.
So in terms of a little bit more of an introduction about me.
Okay, let's talk about you.
Okay. I have 2 degrees. One of them is in assistance dog education, which is my service dog educational piece. And I do continue to educate myself with the service dog industry in that. But for the last 4 years, I've basically done service dog training.
Okay.
So I've spent about 44 years training dogs and people,
wow.
So I've got some experience there.
Okay.
And after my time in the military, I came out with some disabilities, and those were physical. So I got a service dog through the VA, interestingly enough, back in the day. And I experienced, well, my service dog was trained by a separate trainer. He wasn't trained by me.
Okay.
So, and I went through some hardships. I would sit outside of businesses waiting on police officers to show up and explain to the business owner why they had to allow me and the service dog in. And we'll talk a little bit more about the law and what shopkeepers can do and can't do and that sort of thing. But
okay, but you're actually store owners refused to let you come in with your service dog.
Yes.
And so you called the police, or did they call the police?
I usually was the one, but I told them, I said, well, if you're not going to let me in, I'm going to call the police.
Okay.
And that was back in the early 90s.
Wow. Okay.
So that was a while back.
A lot of progress has been made since then.
A lot of progress.
Okay.
And we've lost some ground, and we'll talk about that as well.
Okay.
But I started a service dog organization in Africa, Service Dogs of Malawi, and there's a Facebook page, so if anyone's interested in looking that up, that's a reference.
And that would be Service Dogs in Malawi?
In Malawi, Africa.
And that's the way they could find the Facebook page?
Yes, Service Dogs of Malawi.
Okay.
So suffice it to say that I've had some experience in the service dog world and in the industry itself as a trainer. So my company is the Sassy Trainer, and within that company we have a program called PTSD, which is Personally Trained Service Dogs.
Okay.
And so with that, what we do is we invite people to come with their personal dogs and train to see if their dog can aspire to be a service dog.
Okay. Now, when you say personally trained service dog, not necessarily for PTSD only, but it could be for PTSD or what other disabilities?
So we work with mobility,
okay,
hearing loss or total deaf.
Okay.
And we can also assist with diabetes. So if you're a diabetic, we can do diabetic alert. And
So the dog would alert you when it's time to take your insulin or something like that?
the dog alerts because your blood sugar levels are off, either high or low, and we train for low, but the dogs figure it out, and they know it's wrong, so they'll alert, and then the person tests, and then if it is off, then of course the person knows what to do for their particular situation.
Okay.
So that brings up a good point, is that a service dog is there for the person.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a disability, you have a service dog, but that service dog does a service for you specifically. So service dogs are individualized. They're individually trained for a person.
And that's why you call it personally trained service dog.
Yes.
Okay.
So even if you consider a seeing eye dog, once a person is matched with their dog, their trainer will go with them back to their home, because if we're both blind, you don't live in my house, I don't live in your house, I don't do your job or activities, so they come and they specifically work with that team to get them as a team, as opposed to a guy and his dog, a girl and her dog, and good luck.
No, you don't want that. Okay.
Right. So, so service dogs are trained for the individual.
Okay. I like all the things that I'm hearing, because it is so important that people understand exactly what's going on when you talk about a service dog. Not just a pet, but a service dog. Somebody that's, like you said, providing a service for that individual.
Exactly. And so there's dogs that are called emotional support dogs, ESA for short. So if you think about a doctor and a physician's assistant, doctors are great, PAs are great, but they do different things. They have different capabilities and abilities. Your physician's assistant is probably not going to do your major surgery.
True.
Your doctor probably won't be checking your blood pressure and temperature and things of that nature, getting your history. They could, but they leave that for the PA, and that's the PA's job, and the doctor has his or her job. So same thing, service dog has their job, and that's what they do. An ESA, an emotional support dog, has a different task. So the ESA is basically to bolster somebody emotionally in various types of situations. They don't have the same access, and I want to say also that service dogs don't actually have access. It's the person with the disability that has the ability to take their service dog into public places.
I like the way you say that. Okay.
And so as a team, they have access. But it's not the dog. Not just because I slap a vest on my dog, I can take them anywhere. Well, that's not exactly how that goes. It's and that will bring me to empowering shopkeepers to say, you don't have to allow everybody in to your shop just because they have a vest on their dog. You have 2 questions that by law you can ask them. And the first question is this a service dog? If the answer to that is yes, your follow-up question is, what does this dog do for you? And if the person doesn't answer that, you have the right to ask them to leave. If it is in fact a service dog and the service dog misbehaves, you still have the right to ask that team to leave. Because just like if a person without a dog is in your shop and causing a problem, you have the right to refuse service, so you can ask that person to leave. So those are your rights as a shop owner in terms of a service dog.
Now, I like the way you say shop owner versus big store owner, but it's the same thing regardless of which one.
It is. So any public establishment, any employee has the right to ask those questions. So the ability to go online and buy a vest is hurting, really, people with service dogs.
Okay.
because if Fluffy just
I like that
goes
one.
online
Okay.
and gets certified, and I'll say certified, as a service dog, it's kind of like, you know, Bob going on to online and getting his doctor's certificate. Well, okay, but that's not going to help me when I need surgery or diagnosis or whatnot.
That's correct.
And same with the service dog that is certified via internet. That dog is not really trained to mitigate any type of disability
Gotcha.
for their owner. So what ends up happening is that pets in disguise as service dogs go into a shop and misbehave. And, you know, they don't, I'm not saying this happens 100% of the time, but I'm saying when this happens, that gives a black eye to the service dog industry. It makes it harder for the person who has a service dog and has a disability to just be able to go in. They have more issues and just a negative feel, you know, as the community starts to experience more and more issues. So we'll say you go into any establishment and with your dog, and your dog misbehaves.
Okay.
And of course, the establishment may or may not ask you to leave, but then a person with a disability comes in, they've got a mobility issue, or say that they're diabetic, and so you can't see their disability. But the shopkeeper won't let them in with their dog. Their dog has to stay outside. They go in, they end up low blood sugar.
Okay.
The dog's not there to give them an alert, because Fluffy was there yesterday and was barking at people.
Uh-huh.
And so now the shopkeeper says, look, we're just no dogs. I'll take my chances, but I can't disrupt my business with dogs coming in, barking, and whatnot.
And we understand that, and we're going to have to get to that in our next segment.
Okay.
Because we're running out of time on this segment, but we want you to know right away to come on back and see the next segment. Thank you. Welcome back. We're glad to have you back with us. And we're talking about personally trained service dogs. And we're talking to Tina Dixon. She is a trainer. She's also a veteran, an Army veteran, as we mentioned in segment 1. But she's had a lot of years of training, and she does a lot of things not only for the industry, but for the individuals that have service dogs. So it's very important. I do need to say, Tina, if somebody wanted to contact you, how would they contact you?
Well, my phone number is 513-417-1334, and that will reach me, and you can leave a message if I don't answer, but I'll return your call. I have a program that is starting in September for service dog training, and also have a drop-in class on Monday at noon for pet dogs, and if you have a problem that you're trying to work through and that sort of thing. So that's basically how you can get in touch with the Sassy Trainer.
Let's give that number one more time.
513-417-1334.
Okay. So if you need to call Tina and say, look, I've got this problem with my dog, I'd like some information or whatever, I'd like to go through one of your classes, I'd like whatever, that's the number to call. And we're going to give it to you one more time.
513-417-1334.
Now, I have to ask the question. Say somehow we did mention Walmart, but it could have been any other store. It could have been Home Depot. It could have been Smith's. It could have been anywhere. But when you see a dog, a person has a dog with a vest on, and they're barking at everybody who comes by, what would be your first indication?
Well, my indication there is that that's not a service dog. So basically, a dog is a service dog because they have gone through training and they have the ability to function in society as well as to mitigate issues for their person with the disability. And once a dog starts to prove to you or say to you that I am more interested in protecting myself or protecting you, that pretty much discounts them as a service dog. They, in essence, are not a service dog. And let me expand on that a little just to give people a really good picture of what I'm talking about. So regardless of whether Fluffy likes to sit on your lap or not, but if Fluffy is out there protecting and defending herself or you, that's Fluffy's focus. It's outward. As a service dog, the focus needs to be inward. They need to focus to me. Fluffy needs to meet my needs. That's why I have Fluffy as a service dog. I can have Fluffy as a pet that can protect and defend and sit on my lap, etc. But if I'm going to take Fluffy out and consider Fluffy a service dog, then Fluffy needs to be able to focus on me. So out in public, if Fluffy is growling and barking and snapping and otherwise not paying attention to me and not assisting me, then Fluffy is of no use to me as a service dog.
As a service dog.
Now, as a pet, I will love Fluffy forever, and that's not really the issue. The issue is if you have a person that is a police officer and a surgeon, and they're in the midst of surgery, and they get the call that there's a bank robbery, do you want to be that person on the table?
Probably not.
Right. So your service dog can only have one job, and that's to service
I like that analogy. That is a perfect analogy. Yes, I don't want to be the person on the table when he decides he's going to go stop a bank robber. Okay.
So we love our doctors and we love our police officers, but let's have them as separate.
And Fluffy needs to do the right job and know exactly what the job is and what the responsibility is at that time. Right.
And Fluffy could be any breed, any age, either sex. The purpose is to see if Fluffy is willing to do the job. And so if Fluffy is willing to do the job and the person who owns Fluffy is willing to come and have some training, and not necessarily just with me, training in general. And so the question comes up often, can I train my own service dog? And to that I say yes, but you need to join a community because there's ins and outs that you may not know about. And, you know, you learn these things in the community, and so that you have a complete trained service dog as opposed to a partially trained service dog.
And that's one of the reasons you're having classes. And when do you have these classes again?
The next classes start September 9th. And at the end of the classes, we have a graduation, and so we certify the dogs. They get their vest, and they are all, you know, professional in that. And we invite the public to come to these graduations because we want the public to understand how much time and effort goes into training service dogs. So we don't just order up a vest and say, good luck. We go through the ins and outs and the hardships, and it's training. You know, if you think about basic training, part of it is just like that. So it's a fun process, but it's a process.
Now, I want to say this again because I know somebody out there said, look, I want to get some training for my dog, but I didn't get that number. One more time on the phone number.
Okay, well, that's 513-417-1334. And I'm in Pahrump, so I know it doesn't sound like a local number, but the Sassy Trainer is here in Pahrump.
How did you come up with the name Sassy Trainer?
Well, I was doing some grooming professionally. I was a professional groomer, and I had, funny story, moved to Utah in order to groom, and I lost my job. And I was sitting on my friend's couch, and I said, you know, I should go into business for myself. And she said, yes, you should. And I said, well, I guess I need a name. And she looked at me and she goes, here's your name, the Sassy Trainer. So I have that name because I'm sassy, and I know it. So I love you, but I'm going to tell you how it is, and that's how that goes.
And I think people that are training their dogs, they need to be told exactly, yes, this is the right way, this is the wrong way. And yeah, you can't hold back and just be nice. You've got to tell it like it is.
I agree.
Okay. What are some of the other things that, when you talk about training, that people need to know?
Well, I tell people in my class that if you have 5 minutes a day, even just 3 days a week, to work with your dog, you will have an excellent pet. So it doesn't take a huge time commitment for training. It just takes a commitment of time. And so I think if people understood that the time commitment isn't quite as arduous, that there wouldn't be as many dogs in shelters or abandoned or relinquished, because people think, oh, I really just don't have the time that it takes. But if you incorporate life into your training, it really doesn't take any extra time.
Okay.
You're going to feed Fluffy. Hey, well, Fluffy, come, I've got your food. Jiggle of the, the bowl, and now you're teaching Fluffy to come. You're going to feed Fluffy anyway, so you're not using extra time. You're just taking the time that you have and using it differently.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's been the thing that I've learned over the years, is that if people understand that the commitment of time isn't as great as they think, then people are willing to work with their dogs longer before any thoughts of relinquishing.
But the time that you spend is so important, and you've got to make it worthwhile.
Yes.
Now, you said earlier, any breed or any sex of dog could be a service dog.
Yes.
Now, are there some breeds that are better than others, or would you rather not give any of that?
Well, in terms of breeds, the way dog breeds they're grouped into what we call groups. So there's the sporting group, the herding group, the non-sporting, the toy, the terrier. And so within those groups, you have a certain personality type.
Okay.
So imagine the personality type is a range. So more or less in that range, you've got whatever you have. So take a terrier, because people are kind of familiar with terriers.
Yeah.
Some of them are really, really rambunctious, and we call it crazy. And on the other end, they're pretty subdued, calm. For a terrier, so you wouldn't take that and call it really subdued and calm. You would say terrier calm.
Okay.
And so you just know within that spectrum, you have a certain personality type.
Gotcha.
If I want a dog that's going to alert me, because I'm deaf, to doorbells and phones ringing and things of that nature, I might look at a terrier because I might need that activity, because the dog's going to come to me and interrupt me. Hey, did you know the doorbell? Hey, the doorbell, hey. So I need a certain tenacity for that.
Okay.
That's not to say that that dog couldn't succeed as a diabetic alert dog or a PTSD dog, because it potentially could. So I'm saying that to say I might look at a certain breed type for a certain type of service dog, but I wouldn't discount any breed.
Okay.
Because dogs are individuals just like people, and I don't want to be a doctor. I just don't. And so if you try to push me into that particular hole, it doesn't work out as well as a dog trainer. I'm really good at that. So, so with the breeds, I say they are individual, and you need to look at the individual and assess whether or not they have the temperament, personality, or desire.
Gotcha.
Some dogs actually don't desire to be service dogs.
Okay. Now, what about the age range for dogs?
So my thought on that is that none of us are promised tomorrow, and neither is our dog. So if I took an 8-year-old dog and spent 6 months training it to be a PTSD dog, that dog could live another 10 years. If I took a 6-month-old puppy and spent a year training that dog to be a mobility dog or a PTSD dog, that dog could die the next year. So since people are coming to me with their personal dogs, I don't want to discount any dog based on age.
I got you. Okay.
Plus, by them going through this process, they become a better dog owner and service dog owner. So with their next dog, it's an easier process for them.
I want everybody to hear that and understand exactly where we are. And I want to thank Tina for being here on the program tonight, because it's so important that you understand that. And Tina, thanks again for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Stop that. Don't know how to stop.
So we'll thank me again.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for being on the show. And I want everybody to pay attention and get in touch with Tina if you have any questions at all. Thank you. Good evening and welcome back. We have my other guest with me right now. This is Sue Feltz, and we're going to tell you a lot about Sue. where she's from and all the things that she's done. But Sue, I just want to welcome you to the show.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's
I
my
am
honor
so
to
glad
be
to
here.
have you here tonight.
I'm so honored to be here.
We've got a lot to talk about. It's going to be a lot of fun, and you're going to learn a lot about what's going on with Sue. So, Sue, where are you from originally?
From Taiwan.
Taiwan.
Yes.
Okay.
It's called Republic of China.
Yes.
And formerly also originally the name 500 years ago called Formosa.
That's right, Formosa.
Yeah.
I remember growing up with that. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Formosa is now Taiwan.
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
tiny little island, look like a yam, in the Pacific Ocean.
I had a lot of friends that end up going to Taiwan, and everybody loved it. And now you're here in the United States. You're a United States citizen.
Yes.
And well, how did you happen to come and start what we're going to be talking about, the Veterans Reporter newspaper?
Yes. Veteran Reporter newspaper is this paper I take over 5 years ago,
Okay.
2013, a little more, about exactly 2013 I took over. But I didn't really involve until the August of 2013.
Okay.
Yeah, and this paper, actually, Veteran Reporter News, I started registered this title, this name, in August 2013. Oh, no, in January 2013.
Okay.
Okay, so Veteran Reporter News, as
So,
this name.
so before 2013, it had a different name.
Yeah, it called Veteran Reporter, as was Mr. Chuck Baker's paper.
Okay.
Mr. Chuck Baker was my customer as I was having a recycling center. He sold a lot of paper to me, and for many years, and we become very good friends. And I know he's a Purple Heart.
Okay.
And so every time he comes, I greet him, and he come talk to me. And on the December 2012, he come one afternoon. He come over and said, "This is the last time I come here." I said, "Why?" He said, "I'm going to close my paper."
Wow.
I said, "What do you mean close your paper?" And he said, "Well, I want to be a writer. I want to be actor, and if I don't have time for myself to do this. This take a lot of time to do it." So I look at him and said, "Wow," and I said, "Why don't you sell it?" And he said, "No, I don't want to sell it. I just want it closed." I said, "Wow." And I don't know what's going on.
Okay.
In my mind, I look at this Purple Heart recipient, and I also see it's my friend, my customer, So I said, it's such a shame to close this paper. And, English is my second language. I come from Taiwan, right?
Okay.
So must be God's will. That's speaking. Say, "Why don't you sell to me?" That word come out to my mouth without even thinking. Somebody speaking like that.
Okay.
So anyway, he said, "Okay, how much?" He asked me. I said, "No, you tell me how much. You are the one who's selling the paper." So he told me the number.
Okay.
But I was the one give him my term. On the term, everything we agreed. So I said, "I don't know anything about the paper." He said, "Don't worry. I still continue running." I said, "All right." So from January 1st to 2013, I started pay the bills.
Okay.
Until August 2013, I take over. And then Then I realized I really pay attention to the paper at that time. Then I realized what area need to be emphasized, and what is what purpose of this paper. I start thinking and reading and come up to my concept as today. This paper is the stage for the community,
Yes.
the mirror for the community,
Okay.
and the magnet of a veteran community. That magnet everybody together.
Okay.
And only three things this paper has: patriotism, tell the truth, neutral. That's the only three things we have.
Okay. Now, I know when I first got here, the paper was once a month.
Yes.
And you've changed it now to twice a month.
I did. I changed it to twice a month in one very special occasion. It was in, I think, 2017, right? The shooting in Mandalay Bay.
Okay.
October. So October 1st, I was very proud. My paper just on time come out to the circulations. And then I think October 2nd, right? The shooting took place.
October 1st.
October 1st, okay. October 1st, the shooting took place. And I looked at TV and I looked at the report, and my heart just go out after everybody. And I cannot report until November.
Ah.
And I said to myself, this got to stop. I don't know I don't know what I have to do, but I got to do something that I be able to report important news. Yeah, and don't have to wait 30 days.
Okay. So you started twice a month, and it's been going twice a month ever since.
Yeah, ever since. And at the beginning, I said, oh, twice a month. I gotta do a lot of research. I gotta do a lot of writing. And Dr. Water, I know you are the columnist. You have write so much and so fast.
I want
to catch up.
I want to get back to that. Right now, I just won't be able to for a little while longer. I'll explain that off camera, though.
Okay, all right. But we are very proud of you, and then our readers are really appreciated your column too.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, there are times. I'm sure you receive a lot of phone calls.
Yes.
All right.
Phone calls and emails.
Yes.
Some like it, some don't, but that's okay.
That's the way.
They're reading it.
Well, that's right.
That's the important thing.
And expecting your article too,
Yes.
So I want to thank you so much that you helped me with this. And I also want to take this opportunity to thank you to other readers, everybody that read my paper and support my paper, and also, especially this time, Pahrump, the Purple Heart Town, that people are so patriotism and support me too. Yeah.
Now, last Thursday, as a
Yeah.
matter of fact, or last Wednesday was Purple Heart Day.
Yes.
And you were in Pahrump for that event.
That's right. Oh, I drove. I didn't know the road between Pahrump and Las Vegas have changed so much.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's going to be better and better.
It's going to be good. It's going to be better.
Just bear with that and be all right. But I'm very proud to report that event, and I'm very appreciated, especially you. Dr. Water, you are excellent.
Well, thank you.
MC, and the program was very rich. I like the program. I like the commissioner, the chairperson of commissioner.
Yes, John Koenig.
Mr. Koenig, right?
Yes.
He speaks so well, and a lot of his speech gonna quote into the newspaper. Also, your keynote speaker.
Catherine Miller, outstanding speaker,
she's
retired colonel.
I know, the retired colonel. Can you imagine? Listen to her speech many times. I really like to take her class one day. She's a professor.
Yes.
That would be really awesome. I
Yes.
love to listen to her.
Yes.
She's a wonderful person and
Yes.
dedicated and patriotism soldier, patriotism veteran, and patriotism citizen. And I tell you what, Veteran Reporter News teach me this country much more than all those years I stay here. I stay in this country.
Okay.
Yeah. And and then, to be honest with you, I say to myself, I want this paper to be people's paper, the veterans' paper.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I also find another reason for me to work very hard. I'm an immigrant from Taiwan.
Okay.
And this country has been very good to me. This country is really a land of opportunity. If you're willing to work hard, the sky are limit.
That's true.
And this paper proved it to me. Okay, from this paper, I learned about how patriotism this country is. every citizen is. I think in the globally, I don't see any countries, its citizen, its government, are so patriotism to its country, and its soldier so brave for their duty, and it's the government respect, our soldiers and our veterans. Every countries they do have in the history we study, sometimes their area that's not perfect, but the course the government recognized and changed and recognized and make up for. And that's the beautiful part of it, and that's the open mind of a government. So myself, I have two reasons, very strong reason to do this paper.
Okay.
One, it's my way to say thank you to the United States of America.
Well, that's beautiful. Okay.
Yeah, and secondly, is my way to fulfill my commitment to my husband.
Okay.
Mr. Eugene A. Phelps, Chief Master Sergeant, 26 years of United States service.
And he was in the Air Force.
He's in the Air Force.
Okay.
But he was Navy first.
Okay.
He was in the Korean War as a Navy. Then he come back, re-enlist as a Air Force.
Okay.
And he was in Vietnam. So later on, Agent Orange called up on him.
Oh, yeah.
That he died of lung cancer in Navy hospital. But
so you make that commitment to him, and that's perfect.
I make two commitments to him before he passed, I say, because we don't have kids.
Okay.
So I say, one, I will never change my last name. Two, I make your name proud. And Veteran Reporter News is my way to fulfill the second commitment.
That is so beautiful. Look, I want everybody to listen to exactly what she's saying, and we're going to go to our second session, but I want you to be patient and come back and join us for that second session. Welcome back. We're glad to have you back with us. I'm here with Sue Feltz. She's the owner of the Veterans Reporter News. And this paper has provided so much information for veterans in a lot of different areas. And some of the things that we're going to talk about during this session is where and exactly what areas you cover.
Veteran Reporter News covered the whole southern Nevada.
All of southern Nevada.
All the southern Nevada towns, you know, and also go to every VA's clinic.
The VA clinic.
Yes.
The
And
hospital.
And also like a VFWs, their organizations.
Yes.
American Legions, and VFW, American Legion, the Latinx Club.
Okay.
In Las Vegas, by Spring Mountain.
Okay.
Okay, and then also every library, you can see my paper.
Oh, great.
Yeah, every library. Yeah.
You know, when I was looking at the paper itself, and it says serving veterans in Las Vegas, Henderson, Boulder City, North Las Vegas, Laughlin, Creech Air Force Base, Indian Springs, Searchlight, Tonopah, Armagosa Valley, Myopa Valley, Nellis Air Force Base, Mesquite, and Pahrump.
That's right, Pahrump.
And Pahrump. I like that. And we read the paper, and there are some things in the paper that I'm very proud of. Like you said, I every now and then I get a chance to write articles, and I love writing articles for the paper, and I get responses from so many veterans. But Sue, you've kept this paper going, and we're just so proud of you.
Thank you.
But not only are we proud of you, the governor is proud of you.
Thank you.
And in one paper, and it's the one for May 1st, 2019, at that time we had a new governor, Governor Sisolak, and Governor Sisolak presented you with an award.
Yes.
And what was the title of that award?
That title award is called Veteran Service of the Month. It's in April. I think, and this is normally when I go to an event, I don't speak. I'm just to see, not to be heard. But that day, I not only can see, I also be heard. I speak. And this is a paper and a front page coverage of our that day's event, Veteran of the Month and Veteran Service of the Month. But I also want to talk about this one. Who is in the Veterans of the Month?
The Veteran of the Month, that's when Governor Sandoval presented me with the award for Veteran of the Month.
Yes.
And I'm very honored to have received that. But the Veteran Supporter of the Month, that's a civilian, and that's when you received your award. So I was at both events.
Yes,
I was at the event for myself, and you made sure that was covered well. And then my wife and I attended your event, and that event also was covered well.
Yes, I had to be honest, I'm very proud that award that I received. And I'm very, very honored that, you know, that Governor Sisolak, follow the Governor Sandoval's footstep.
Yes.
That very supportive to the veterans.
Yes.
Yes, and it's also to make sure that our town, state of Nevada, is a veteran-friendly state. Yeah.
And the fact that we are, you know, when you look at NYE County, and I have to always brag about this, NYE County is a Purple Heart County, and town of Pahrump is a Purple Heart town. And Clark County, I guess, said, wait a minute, NYE County is ahead of us. So now Clark County is also a Purple Heart County, but NYE County will always be the first, and we're very proud of that. But for the support of veterans, the entire state supports veterans. And this is so good, and this is why this paper is so important. When we talk about Veterans Reporter News, any news about any veteran situation, any veteran issue, Sue is there. And Sue will cover it to make sure. Like I just said in the last session, we had the Purple Heart ceremony in Pahrump last week, and she was there. taking pictures, and I'm sure that will appear in one of the papers, the future papers. So again, very, very well covered. But not only, you have papers that we can pick up at different places, like the VA clinic, VA hospital, and a lot of the different stores as well. We can pick up the paper. But if somebody is just, they don't get the paper, but they want to see it online, what do they need to do?
They can go to www.veteranreporternews.com. www.veteranreporternews.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's on the web, and you can go ahead and read the paper online. And again, you can get all the information. You can also look at back issues and the current issue, and you can read it all because the information is there. And you've got archived back for how far?
I think you can go back for 2-3 years.
Okay.
Yes.
So you haven't missed anything, and like she said, it was December 1st, 2018 when I received my award, or in the paper, and when she had hers was May 1st, 2019. If you read these, you'll understand everything else we're talking about. But again, on the web, if you look at veteranreporternews.com.
Yeah, Veteran Reporter News, www.veteranreporternews.
www.veteranreporternews.com.
Yes.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
They can do that. But if somebody wanted to, say, advertise in your paper,
Then
how would they call? What would they call?
They will call us on the 702-642-7028.
Now you're going to have to give that a lot slower, because some of the people are writing this down, and they want to get it. So give that number again.
You can call 702-642.
702.
642.
642.
7028.
7028.
And you can also email to veteransreporternews@gmail.com.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can email or call if you want to put anything in the paper. If you have a story that you'd like to tell, they're willing to listen. If it's about veterans, they're willing to listen. And if you like to advertise for the veteran audience, this is what it's all about.
Yes, this paper is loved by 675,000 other veterans in the Clark, Southern Nevada, and supported by every veteran organization in the whole state. And to every individual reading this Veteran Reporter News, not only they can see sometimes themselves or their friends in the paper,
yes,
or what their friends do, or what other organizations do, or where do I want to go to visit some VFW's post or American Legion post, or know about the current important issue regarding the veterans is out in here. And you also can subscribe our paper for $60 a year, just to write to us, and we'll mail to you 2 issues a month.
You can't beat that. Can't beat that at all. I think that's fantastic.
Yes, thank you.
And the thing I want to emphasize over and over and over, we're talking about Veteran Reporter News. So anything about veterans, anything about our community, and we are a very veteran-friendly community, and not just here, the people that are watching this program, but we're talking even outside of that, because as she said, it covers all of Southern Nevada.
I'll tell you, one time I went to Atlanta, Georgia, for an event I had to go to. It's called the TCCNA, Taiwan Chambers of Commerce of Northern America. It's a national convention.
Okay.
So I take an extra days in Atlanta, Georgia, to kind of scouting around, see what veterans organizations there.
In Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Okay.
So I went to a place called American Legion Post 121, and I went over there. First, it was a raining day. I went over there and with my backpack, and I walk in there, and in the post, they tell me, say, bingo don't start till 2:30. As for one something that was there. So I say, oh, really? So I just started handing out my paper to everybody. And people are reading it. And they say, wow, I never see anything like that. Then I hand out my business card. I want to see your commander. And then they all come, oh, yeah. They call the commander over. But beginning, they thought I was come here to play bingo. You know?
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. And I know now, I'm sure they're reading it in Atlanta, they're reading your paper, and they're probably going online to read it or having it mailed to them. At $60 a year, you can't beat that.
Yeah, we did that every month. We sent to each. We have a reader all over the country.
Oh, beautiful. Okay. Now, if again, what phone number would they call if they want to find out more about the paper?
They call 702-642-7028.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or they can go online.
Yes.
www.veteranreporternews.com. And they can find out everything they need.
Yes.
So,
and they can email me, no, that's not right.
Okay.
They can email me, veteranreporternews@gmail.com.
Outstanding.
Yes.
Okay. Now, we're running out of time, as we always do. But again, I want to go ahead and thank Sue for being here today. I want to thank her also as the veteran supporter of the month of April 2019. That's when Governor Sisolak presented her the medal. And these medals are so important to all of us because not only does it have the information on it, but it also has her name on it. So it's not like somebody else could pick up that medal and say they earned it. It has your name, and it's for her and for all the things she's done for our entire veteran community and all the things she's done as a patriot of the United States of America. I'm just so proud of her, and I'm so thankful that she chose to be on my show tonight. So
thank you.
Thanks again
Thank you so
for
much,
everything.
Dr. Water.
And again, we'll see you next month with another guest. Thank you for watching us tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. Thank you.